the alliance. So that's kind of weird. But anyway, let's have a look. Who's behind this that's going on in South Australia on the shoreline there? Well, isn't that interesting? Huh. Oh boy. Okay. So in the past, it was created by none other than deep state and dark cult globalists, that kind of thing, right? Because it's coming from there, and it was already created. So it's a situation that was already created in the past, and this happens a lot, and it's still playing itself out. So they could have put something in motion that creates these situations, maybe even a long time ago or somewhere else. And now that poison is washing up on the shores of Victor Harbor, okay, and creating this disaster. But it was actually put forward a long time ago, and it's now being seen in the world, okay? So it's really true what's happening. Now, here's a good thing. The good thing is it's not a long-term situation. That's the good news, okay, because that's a 5, and 5 say it's temporary and a setback. And of course, I'm not saying it's good. It's in no way good. Of course, it isn't good. Okay, it was created by these bad guys, the globalists, who do want to blame. So they probably put it forward years ago somewhere else, knowing it would create or wreak havoc on different shores. Okay, so they sent it forth, I don't know how, right, somewhere else in the world, and it's now washing up on Victor Harbor. So they already created the problem, and now it's washing up places. Okay, so there's probably showing up different places in the world too. We're just asking about it because we got somebody viewing from Victor Harbor, but I bet there's other places that are having these issues. Okay, people are even getting sick walking along the shore. Okay, so this was a poison created by the deep state, the globalists, Khazarian mafia, all of those baddies. Okay, and it's really true what's happening. It's not being exaggerated. The white hats didn't do it. Okay, the bad guys did it. But it is an opportunity here. It looks like an opportunity for people to really sharpen up their understanding of what these guys do, how they like to blame everything on global warming, how they like to blame it on climate change, etc. Okay, so it's just another example of how they do that, how they trick us into believing and blaming it all on our own selves. Okay, when they in fact create the problem. Okay, so here we've got the Knight of Wands. So the advice is to maybe take to social media, setting the alarms, like sending out alarm bells that guess what, they're blaming this on global warming but it in fact was very likely created. Well, it was likely, by the look of it, it was created by the deep state and globalists. So maybe some memes, if you can create some memes, if you're good at that, and or find articles that describe to people how this gets done to us, circulate real truths about global warming. That would help, because then people that are thinking this might be connected to or related to global warming or climate change, maybe they'll think differently about it. Like, it just took me a few articles where it was described to me how this is an agenda, and I started to go, oh yeah, that makes sense. My common sense and intuition kicked in. Maybe some people need to hear that again. Okay, so circulate things, but the good news is the environment there will strengthen again and re-strengthen itself, and this is temporary and won't last too long. That's the good news. I mean, it's unfortunate that it even happened in the first place. It's happening all over the world, stuff like this. Okay, so pointing it out and sharing information on the real truth behind the global warming agenda, okay, would be a really good idea. I see lots and lots of memes and things out there on X and Telegram, so go looking. I share them whenever I see them too, just so people can become aware that this is done to you. This is an agenda to get more taxes and to be able to pillage the system, also to basically gaslight humans, right? So we're the problem instead of the 1% and all of their big corporations being the problem. No, we're the problem somehow, right? Okay. So let's look at these protests and riots. Okay. We can't always just call them protests. They look like straight up riots. Now, I will say that a lot of LA people are posting. So these are more isolated than you think. This is not going on all over. This is like they played this clip with 3 or 4 different clips with that Mexican flag flying. It's always the same person holding it. Like, you got to be careful with these. This is all really, really exaggerated. There's isolated situations of this going on is what I'm hearing. And a lot of people are going around in LA when they're saying it's LA wide, that's a big city. Okay. It's not. It's in these isolated areas, and it's huge theater. Okay, they're paying a lot of people to do this. Okay, they got them all dressed up to look a certain way. All of this, by the way, from what I get and what I've been looking at all week, is created by, get this, the White Hat Alliance. Okay, they're literally creating the psyop to show you how these guys create psyops to get stuff to go in a certain direction. And the mainstream media, of course, is the only one supporting them with this BS, right? So start looking really carefully at all the footage. You'll see all kinds of things that make let you understand. We got some isolated things going on that are created in theater. And then maybe there's even some real stuff in there. Okay. But then it's really blown out of proportion what's going on. And so what I'm asking is, there's ones planned across the US for June 14th. And this is from what they're calling the No Kings Movement. So this is where the question is. The No Kings Movement mass protest June 14th. Now, again, that is very likely a white hat psyop. Okay. Like, it's got white hat psyop written all over because it's being promoted by, guess what, Hollywood. And we know Hollywood's dead. You guys, Hollywood, all the main players in Hollywood have been rounded up there facing tribunals. I've been getting it for years. And you may not buy that, but I'm telling you, the cards consistently say those people they're not even around anymore. Most of them you're seeing are CGI doubles, mask wearers. Okay, the really famous people. Anyway, so what we want to know is, even if this is created as a psyop, how dangerous will it get? Okay, so the No Kings Movement, is this going to be something you need to be careful to be out in big cities like in the US? It looks like, if you believe what the hype, it looks like it's going to be really scary. Okay, so is that true? Is there a there to how? Are they going to create this to be huge? Just to have to bring in the military? Like, what do we got going on here? How dangerous are these on the 14th, the No Kings one? Let's have a look. And then who's really behind it? We'll have a look at that too. So we'll see if we can get both of those things. So that's a lot of fear porn. Like I said, you guys, fear porn. So they're creating it to look way worse than it is. Okay. Even my normie friends are starting to go, wait a sec. We had a friend who lives in LA. They went looking in the areas. They said these big protests were going down, and they filmed and nothing was going on. You guys, just like, remember in the very beginning of the lockdowns, they were saying that New York was ground zero. They kept using that word. And they had all of these triage, and you're not even, by the way, legally allowed to film in a triage situation in the hospital. Okay, so they had all these film footage clips of triage just going insane with COVID, people coming down with COVID and dying. None of it was true. So people started going to the hospitals they were saying the name of, and all these big hospitals in New York they were saying was ground zero for COVID-19. Crickets. You went in the hospital and there was nobody in the parking lot and nobody in emergency. Nobody was going near the hospitals. That was absolutely a lie. Then they were showing us aerial views. I just want to remind everybody how they do this. Aerial views of mass graveyards and burials. Turned out it was from years ago. This all got uncovered, by the way. Goodman, I think his name's Goodman, went around, this fellow, this YouTuber. He went around, and he's still doing his YouTubing, by the way, and I forget his first name, but his last name's Goodman. And he went around and he showed us firsthand what a bunch of BS it was. They completely made it up. They could be doing the same thing in LA, guys. Okay. And they film these little isolated, they ask for actors en masse. It's been outed that they've been in LA looking for actors that can act out big rioting kind of situations. They plant somebody with the Mexican flag, just like they did, remember, with the truckers? They planted that one guy with the Nazi flag, who was probably an FBI undercover agent, likely or something, right? So totally a plant by, the globalists or whatever, or whoever was pulling that one off. They plant that one guy. They photograph it from every different direction, and they try to make it look like everybody's doing this. Okay. You got to know we're living in a fake reality. It's fake. A lot of it's fake. So let me know if you're from LA. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They had that one shot of the Nazi flag, and all of a sudden it's a big Nazi, communist march, and Canadians got totally shut down for the most beautiful, peaceful truckers. The trucker situation was so represented, and that's what's happening in LA. That's what I'm thinking. And looking at these cards, it says the same thing. Okay, so here we've got the ace. So they've definitely put out all of this information about this no kings thing. Who's actually putting it out looks like it's the white hats. So it's not coming from the bad guys. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, that's very interesting. I feel like it's to out what the bad guys do, but in fact, it's put out by White Hat Alliance, and it'll be frustrating. They might shut down some streets. You might have to get rerouted on the day. There's going to be minor setbacks and frustrations. Somebody might get a brick in their window. Okay, but nothing like what they're saying. Okay, and I don't get it lasts for days, but let's pull two more, because a digital soldier wrote me and asked, will it last days or weeks? So we've got justice, and no, it looks like it gets shut down pretty quickly. I'd say within a day. I'd say it's mostly on the day. So the 14th, June 14th. Okay, so the whole thing's just a big splash for the visuals. And we're going to get to why are they doing that, because that looks like White Hat Alliance and not Deep State. So they're showing you again what these guys do. Okay, but it could all be a cover for what they're really doing. Okay, so now we're going to get to that part. Let's see. Will Trump mobilize the Marines? Actually, that's the next one I want to ask. Will he mobilize the Marines? And then we'll get to the why they're doing this. Because I got a feeling about why they might be doing all of this. I'm hoping it's for the reasons we're all thinking. Okay, are they going to so is Trump going to mobilize the Marines leading up to or on June 14th? Okay, let's have a look. All of this going down in the next few days, guys. It's going to be crazy. Let's have a look. So he's talking about he's going to do it. So that's putting it out there and putting lots of information out there. We've got the strength card there. Okay, so he's certainly they're ready to go. They're absolutely ready to go. There's going to be a situation outside of Canada and the U.S. that takes all our attention away. I was saying that, and it's probably coming tomorrow, remember, or sometime in the next couple of days. And that could actually take our attention away, and sort of it downplays everything that's going on in the U.S. So we've got right at the last minute, Um, right at the last minute, does he do it? I don't think he does. Wow, does he mobilize the? No, he gets really close to mobilizing, and right at the last minute, he doesn't. Okay, so it's they for some reason push it right to the edge, and it'll look like he's going to, and then he doesn't. Probably because these things don't get out of hand. By the way, they're all controlled and theater. Okay, I mean it'll feel real. If you're caught in one of these, it's going to feel real. All of these people are being paid to act out a riot. Okay, but it's not going to be citywide like they're saying. It's not going to be nearly as devastating as a whole bunch of podcasters are fear porning out there, which I don't know why they're doing that. Like these things, this is like sounds like the major fear porn I was getting in the. Do you remember the Zodiac spread? Like there was going to be so much fear porn spread out there, and they were even going to be placing it in the hands of a lot of podcasters, truthers, and getting them to look foolish because they're going to buy into the fear porn. Yeah, well, I'm not going to be one of those because my cards are not agreeing with the amount of chaos that's going to be caused. This feels orchestrated and rammed up and ramped up, and a lot of it is going to be theater. So be aware, and of course, be careful. Right? So I'm not saying get out in the middle of these things. No, like you could get hurt. Okay. But absolutely keep an eye on what the news is telling you. Okay. Because you'll find all kinds of, it'll be really obvious it's what's really going on if you're really paying attention. And if you do find video clips showing others just how this is orchestrated and created and psyoped, okay, please share those so others can know. Okay. Wow. So no, it's not going to be all that. No. And I'm not saying it won't be frustrating, irritating, and even somewhat, I wouldn't recommend being out in the middle of any of those. And I'd stay out of crowds from now till after July 4th, frankly. Okay. But it's not going to be anything like what they're saying. Okay, so now, will the June 14th Trump parade here's the one I was really excited to get to, this question. Will that parade have hidden agenda, arrests, roundups, and will we all see it? Will it be in secret if that's the case, or will we see it? So will they have public arrests? Will there be arrests and they're not public? Like, what are we going to see in the public eye? And is there a hidden agenda to why they're doing all of this? So think about how many tanks were being photographed going to DC. Okay, so yes, there is a parade. So they're going to have all those tanks in the parade likely. But could this all have a hidden agenda? Could everything be a cover? Because if the white hats are in charge of all of this, which it looks like to me, okay, could this all be a cover for, are we going to see the EBS go down? Like, what's happening? Last time I looked at it earlier in the week, it didn't look like it was going all the way to the EBS. But I didn't ask about arrests and roundups. But I asked about the EBS, and what I got was that's more of a fall thing. This is sort of a layering up to that, maybe even a practice run, right? They're going to create another big, and when you look at Cliff High's chart about rising tensions, the biggest rising tension is in October. Yeah. So I felt like that was when actually EBS and that kind of thing goes off. But let's have a look, just in case I got that wrong. Let's have a look. So we got the alliance card there. We got so a lot of who's actually gathering and you're going to have a big presence of actual alliance and white hat military. So a lot of normies, they're not going to know anything about that, but keep your eyes open. The white hats are in full force in this parade. Okay. Alliance and white hats, full force. Yeah. And you might even recognize like that they are wearing maybe even a different, because they're going to be really creative at how they show you that. Now, this is around, I wanted this line to be around. Are they actually going to do? So it does look like they're leading up to um, arrests and roundups, but we've got the surrender card. That's going to be done in the cover. Okay, so the whole thing is a cover for things they're doing, but we're not going to see it. Not with that card there. That card says surrender. I don't think we're going to see any of it, but it's going towards, and they're doing some of it for sure. Okay, this is Trump White Hat. They're all around this. So the whole operation on the 14th that's being displayed as this big celebration for the military, 250 years celebrating the U.S. military. Okay, that's an excuse, and they might have done it anyway, but they're using it to do a whole bunch of stuff, but it's undercover. They're going to do the stuff undercover. So they're doing things, but they're definitely not showing us. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of things we don't get to know about, but down the road, this will all come out, and I'm thinking August, September. So it might even be sooner than October. Wow. Okay. Will Trump invoke the Insurrection Act on or before June 14th? Let's have a look. So, I mean, maybe he'll invoke it just because he needs that to get some of this stuff done. The undercover stuff that they're doing. Let's have a look. Will Trump invoke the Insurrection Act on or before June 14th? Oh my goodness, this is all just... So it's definitely a strategy and a potential. And that was upside down when I first went to put it down. So I would read that as he's kind of hesitant to do that, or he could have done it, but he hesitates. People will call for it, and then others will be rallying against it, right? So there's a lot of controversy, people on both sides yelling about if he does or if he doesn't. We've got the Temperance, the 3. I feel like things won't get out of hand enough, and he won't. And I think he's ready to do it if he needs to, because I feel like even though they're creating the drama from the White Hat Alliance, and they've got paid instigators and actors behaving like, I think they're showing us just what these guys do. It could still get out of hand. There's unintended consequences, so that's where you got to be careful, because people could actually get mob mentality, and the regular folks who weren't read in that this is actually all theater, they could get all stirred up and go do their own things. Do you know what I mean? But these cards are looking like, so that's why I feel like he's ready to if he needs to, but these cards actually look like it won't go there. So it's not going to be the big shenanigans everybody's thinking. And I feel like the real go down where we get the public on everything finally, and maybe even the EBS, which I am literally intending and visualizing that, because I really think we need it. That feels like that's more fall. That feels like late August, September, and or October. Those times feel like that's when all the public knows about all of this. This feels like, yeah, they're using this for stuff they're doing, and they're ready if they have to. Okay, but it doesn't look like it goes there. All of these cards say actually it tempers down itself. So I don't think they'll have, like, it won't look like they need to. Like, and if he doesn't have the situation, I don't think he's going to call it. Wow. Okay. So I want to do one more little look at how do we get through the coming days and weekend. Okay, because all of this crazy going on, and it looks like there's going to be a situation in Europe that also calls everybody's attention. It could be any one of, I mean, it could be like the banks going down. It could be so many different things. Yeah, it's actually a couple of different things. And one of them might even be physical, like a physical situation where we could get an earthquake or something where there's a physical weather situation or a physical earth change kind of situation that creates a big havoc. Okay, let's have a look. So there's all of this stuff going on. How do we get through the next few days and weekend? And remember what I said about June. A lot of things that present in the public eye are not real. Okay, your June is full of trickery and full of psyops. Okay, so just so you know, and lots of fear porn. So keeping that in mind, and it makes a lot of sense to what I just read in all of these situations. Yeah, so it's going to be frustrating. And what happens in particular with people, like lots of government absolute foolery, like crazy, like I feel like we're going to really out just how, and like we've been doing this for months and years, but like I feel like in France they're going to really have an outing of just how debauched that Macron and his, like I feel like there might be something there that really flares up. Like there's places in Europe that they've really been exposing the governments, but I feel like it just goes a little off the rails here this weekend. So people are going to need to surrender. You're going to have lots of arguments with normies because everything looks a certain way, but you know it's not the way it appears. That's going to be difficult. Lots of trickery, foolery. So you know what? Your best bet is do something different. Try not to get drawn into, first of all, arguing with normies, because nothing they see will be anything you know is happening. Everything they see is going to be all the fakery. Okay, so they're going to be freaking out about all these things that were completely made up. That's going to be frustrating. Don't get in arguments with normies, whatever you do. Okay, even if they're close to you, even if they're in your household, just don't argue. Just walk away. Okay, and watch for and be detached and watch for all the theater, because oh my goodness, it's going off the scales here this weekend, you guys. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. Try not to get involved, angry and grumpy. Like let go of that. That feeds, that's louche. They call that louche. That feeds the negativity in the world. That feeds the overlords. We don't want to give them any more louche. Okay, so try to stay personally, make a decision, because you can decide how you feel about things, to decide that isn't this fascinating and I'm going to watch, instead of I'm so angry about this. Try to step away from anger and decide to have another emotion about it, like curiosity or fascination. That's what I do. I go to curiosity and fascination. Okay, because it will be a shit show, excuse the language, and it'll be a little crazy this weekend, mostly in the news and not literally. Okay, so do you guys get what I'm, so literally in the world, it's going to be calmer and what it'll look like it's all hell broke loose. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. What it appears to be, according to the newsreels and even social media, going to be crazy, but actually not much is actually going on. Okay, so isn't that fascinating? Take care, everybody. Send in ravens, and take care of yourselves throughout the next few days and weeks. Bye-bye. Like, are they really getting us ready? Is there actual concern, or is it some kind of fear porn? Getting everybody on the notice that a big event is going to happen. Like, what's going on? Let's have a look. Oh, there's Cedric saying hello. Let's see. Boy, oh boy. So the pretendency government sent it out. So that sounds like the deep state. Okay, but who actually was behind it looks like the good military. So that's interesting. But it would have been made to look like the deep state government, like who, if you were a normie in the US, you'd think was your government. Okay, so the Biden regime or now Harris regime. Yeah, that much. Okay, so they would have got some kind of official notice. Okay. And we've got this Six of Pentacles in the middle, so that's interesting. I feel like this was in preparation. So this was meant to be leaked. So it looks like good white hat military, actually, who sent this around, but they would have pretended it was coming from, or created it to look like it was coming from the official government, which of course we know is fake. Okay, so yeah, officialdom sent out the message. And I feel like it wasn't sent all over the US, but several, like maybe half of the US sheriffs. So some of the cities got it and some of them didn't. Some of the states got it and some of them didn't, with that card in the middle. And here we've got, so it's in preparation, okay? And it was more about preparing for the, inevitability of something like that happening. And actually, to be honest, I feel like there was a good reason for it. I feel like they're actually trying to prepare, because not all of these people are, even people working, well, actually many people working in official sort of capacities for local municipal governments are not read into what the white hats are doing. Most of them aren't, unless they follow channels like this. They'd just be regular normies. So I feel like they actually did want to get these people prepared to some degree, okay, because they might not be watching channels like this. So there was a practical reason for it, is what I'm getting. And it was put out by the white hats, but it was made to look like it came from, the government of the state, of whoever, got it. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Now, let's see. So this was an interesting question. Extensive road work and apparent upgrades. Okay, we've all noticed in the last quite a few years, that's been everywhere. It's really interesting. Everywhere I've ever lived, there's always that. Okay, so I've always noticed that, especially when you live in the city. But this in particular, this person is talking about Sacramento, California. Okay, and they're wondering if, is that, is that normal? What's going on there? I guess it's out of control with the improvements. And so are they preparing for a better world, a better government, a better way to do things? Are they actually already starting that? Or is there some kind of calm to that? They were just wondering, is that so just normal, like the government's actually spending on repairs? Or is there something going on? Like, is there something going on? Are they trying to keep people out of certain areas because you get rerouted when these things are happening and you don't get to enter certain parts of the, the place, the area that they're doing the work in, right? So what's really going on there? Let's have a look. Okay, that looks like it's part of the war, you guys, part of the war. Secret things are going on. So this is leaning towards, they're trying to keep you out of areas, rerouting you, getting you not to look at things that are going on. So they might be doing things underground and they need your attention to be, over here somewhere. They could be, they're literally rerouting you and getting you to not look in a certain direction here. Okay, so the person asking about Sacramento, California, all of that road work and all of the road closures and et cetera, whatever's going on there, it's because it has to do with the White Hat War. So things are going on, and they've they've capitulated some levels of the municipal government, and they're in on it. Okay, but just at really high levels. So they might have read in some people at really high levels to allow them to do this. Okay, and then they create the facade of, and maybe even literally put teams fixing this road and doing this and doing that. But meanwhile, they might be coming and going, below the road. Meanwhile, they're wanting your eyes somewhere else and not right on where they're working. You know how it goes. Like all of your attention has to go to following the detour route while they do stuff. Okay, so this feels like it's part of the White Hat Alliance, in particular what's going on in Sacramento. So this is probably true a lot of the places. I mean, some of the places it would be legit work, but we know governments don't spend that much money fixing our roads. You ever been to Vancouver City in Canada? Worst roads. I've never seen worse roads in my whole life. Total deep state city. Okay. Let's see, what else do we have here? Let's look at the hurricane. So this Hurricane Helen, Category 4, touched down as a Category 4 in Florida. They were saying it could have been worse. Some of the pictures, they were really drumming it up with this thing, but of course it turned out it was really bad. Category 4 is nothing to sneer like that. That's a bad hurricane. And I've never been literally in a hurricane, but I've seen film footage of it, and it would be just horrifying. And so sorry to anybody who lost property, pets, their lives. Like some people might have lost their lives. I haven't heard yet if people lost their lives in this one. So let us know in the comments what you heard about this. But it hit in Florida, and the person wants to know. So it's now a Category 1 last time I checked. But of course, that's still a really windy, situation. And there's flooding and all kinds of things, devastation around this thing. And they wanted to know, okay, how was this created? Is this a natural formation? Was this created like with technology? Is this part of the war? What's going on? Okay, I mean, some people believe they're targeting Florida just because, think about how many hurricanes hit Florida, over and over in the same areas. Okay, so we'll look around. Is that the case? Like, do they target this area? Is this deep state targeting? Who's doing this? I think in the past it was targeted with that chariot there. I think they have ways of making storms, like potential storms, drumming them up or toning them down. I really think they do. And I feel like it was manipulated in the past. We've got the surrender, so that looks like it's ended or ending. They're ending doing that or having that ability. But the surrender might indicate, because it's in the now, that this particular one was still manipulated to some degree. We've got the Queen of Wands here, but it might have started out as I feel like it might have been ramped up with intention, but is it naturally the hurricane season? Maybe this is a natural occurring thing, but they get ramped up is more the way I'm getting it. Okay, so here we've got, I feel like they're really going to end, and we can look forward even, and it's even months away, where they completely take control of anything that has that ability. Okay, I feel like the White Hat Alliance, and I got this quite a while ago, like maybe a month ago. It felt like something was put in place where they're taking over HARP, weather manipulation stations. There's literally machines that create earthquakes like crazy, right? And I got that was being taken back, or the control was being taken from the deep state to the White Hat Alliance. So you would think that means less of this stuff. Okay, but it feels like this one was already created. Okay, and I've got that before where they create these things, put it in motion, and it's got to play itself out. So I'm not sure exactly how these machines work or how this technology works, but this feels like they had to surrender to letting that one go. It got stronger than they thought it would. Okay, but look, we're looking forward to this being stopped. Okay, and I don't think all hurricanes will stop, but I feel like it'll be just the naturally occurring ones, so that you won't have, the manipulation of making them worse than they would have been. You won't have the as often as, but it doesn't mean you won't have some weather, right? But it just won't be as manipulated by. And like, I feel like they really do target certain areas. They even use it as like they threaten weather. Like apparently that great big Suzami. Am I saying that right? Like the big wave in Japan, Tuzami. Anyway, now I'm like, I can't say it now for sure. But anyway, I feel like I read on that, and it looked like the deep state had threatened Japan with that. Japan did not comply to something the deep state wanted. So they were controlling Japan. Japan did something they didn't like, the Japanese government at the time, and they hit them with that. So they drummed that up, made it worse. So they take natural weather and make them worse. Tsunami. I knew I'd get it. Tsunami. All right. Anyway, I feel like that is going to be slowly but surely over the next few months. They're not going to have that ability. They're taking that back. They're taking back and taking it out of the bad guys' hands and taking down. They probably have lots of steps they have to do to get that all to stop. And of course, that's a big project. I mean, they do this stuff all over the world. Okay, so what else do we have? Did the UK Prime Minister, and I'm not going to try to say his name, okay, meet Donald Trump today and had a 2-hour lunch? That's what's being reported. Okay, today being September 27th, 2024. Did the UK Prime Minister meet with Donald Trump? And if so, why? Why did Trump go there? And we could mean Trump's brand too, because I don't think it was a real Trump who met him. Okay, let's see. CGI, guys, CGI. And by the way, that UK guy, the Prime Minister, he's totally deep state. Totally deep state. I feel like they're pointing him out. So he came into the headlines and they're saying Trump met with him because they're going to take him down publicly. And he recently also met with, who's that guy? The Ukrainian guy. Head of the Ukraine there, of their government, but it's all fake, of course. That guy's like literally like an actor. I mean, he literally is an actor. Okay, so he's not really, he's just a brand as well. Okay, and I feel like they chose him, and that's the White Hats, by the way. They chose that guy to put it really in your face that you're watching a movie when it comes to, or theater, let's say theater, when it comes to any kind of politics. The politics going on, this is why I don't get too nervous about these big laws supposedly being created and pushed through illegally. They won't stand. They're just trying to show you that these guys push through things illegally. Okay, so it's like every time I read on, like it always looks like it's not gonna, like what just recently happened in, where was it? Dublin, I believe. They had this, so in Ireland, they had this big law go through that was a devastating, ridiculous law. And just recently, right at the last minute, it got taken off the table. Like, why? Because, and it was going to take more privacy rights away and rights to, free speech, of course. And I read on it months ago, and I could see that that was not going to happen. And I feel like a lot of these laws, people are all worried about getting pushed through. That's what's going on with them, right? They're just trying to teach us how they do things, so to pay attention and then yell about it. Like, absolutely share memes about these things, tell your friends about it, talk about it on your social medias. Don't just ignore it just because it's part of the theater. But at the same time, it's important for us to notice and get as many people as we can to notice it too, right? Okay, so here we've got the Moon and the Knight of Pentacles. So we didn't meet with them. That's theater. That was CGI. They just took some video footage, if they showed any. I didn't see any, but if you guys saw any, it would have been CGI. Fake. He didn't go there. What did they talk about? I think they just wanted to point out this guy, just like they were just doing to the Ukraine guy. Supposedly he met in New York at Trump Tower with Trump. And then they had all these visuals of him hanging out with Trump and stuff, and Trump saying things like basically how the Ukrainian war should have never happened and wouldn't have ever happened. And the guy, the Ukrainian actor, okay, who's pretending to, run the Ukraine or whatever, he's just looking at Donald Trump like, it's so obviously fake, like it's almost too funny. Anyway, so this is also fake, and it looks like they're going to take that guy down. Thank goodness, because that guy's a scumbag. Okay, huge deep stater. They're just trying to point out the people they're taking down. They probably already took him down. He's capitulated, but they want to publicly take these people down. Wow. Like as if he could be flying around there, and at the very same moment they're talking about him hanging out with this guy from the Ukraine. Okay, like nobody questions that. What, he just flew to the UK, had a 2-hour lunch, and was home, to meet with the Ukrainian guy? Or come on. Come on, you guys. Yeah, it's crazy, right? All right, let's have a look. Seaports. So seaport, big, there's supposed to be a big strike happening October 1st. And it'll shut down at least half of, or maybe even 60% of the ports in the US. Okay, well, that would be devastating, obviously, to supply chain. And we have heard lots of rumors that things are going to be hard to get our hands on. A lot of us have stored away extra food, canned goods, and dry goods and whatever, and maybe like bottled water or big jugs of water, whatever you've done to prepare. I'm sure all of us, to whatever degree, we've done some preparing for inevitably not being able to get certain things. Okay, so it's saying that, and I feel like this feels like fear porn, but is it going to actually happen? Are the ports going to go on, like workers going to go on strike, shutting down 50 or 60% of the ports in the US? And you don't even have to know much about it to feel like that could be really devastating, right? It wouldn't take long for gasoline for your car to be really hard to get, or everybody's out of it. It would shut the country down. So let's have a look. That's a big old yes. Wow. But that's a 2. The 2 of, so it certainly looks like that's what they're doing, but the 2 of Swords says, wait. So that looks like it was absolutely a plan. That was a plan. Okay, somehow this was a plan. They were going to do that. Okay, and somehow I feel like either in the last minute they come through and it doesn't happen. Um, or it's already been, so it was already like the plan was already stopped in the background, but they're going to play out the plan right up until the day. Okay, they're going to play out the plan as if it's, so it'll look like right up until, what is that, Monday or something, October 1st. It'll look like, oh my God, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. And then boom, all of a sudden things get a lot better, even within hours of when it was supposed to happen. So I feel like in the last minute, something they make it look like they made a deal, or they cut a deal with whoever it is they're striking against. It feels like they're going to orchestrate it. It'll be theater, that right in the last minute they don't do this. So I don't really get, this is going to play itself all the way out. So that's what I'll say. It'll sure look like it though, right up until, yeah. Okay, let's see what else we got. Okay, so Dr. Tenpenny. So I put a post up on Telegram and I said that I would read about this. The UN made a pact of the future. Okay, it even has the corniest, I think it's even called that, a pact of the future. Okay, that's about the worst title I've ever heard, by the way, if that is the title. That's what I think I read on there. So I've written it down here. So it's likely on the article somewhere. And she tells us this big scary tale about basically the UN's taking away all our rights. We'll just say it like that, taking away even more rights than they've already got, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm going to just remind you guys, and you might be new on the channel, you might not have heard me say this, but I've been saying this for years. The UN has no power. It was dismantled right about the time Trump went on his big, right after he got, voted in 2017, he went on his big tour. So he went on this tour all around the world and stopped in on all these big organizations, including, and royal families, by the way, but in all these countries. But he in particular stopped in on the UN sort of gathering, or a UN gathering. And yeah, he capitulated those guys. They're like a deep state governing. They were part of the New World Order, blah, blah, blah. And I just get, they've been slowly dismantled. Okay, so they're maybe being used or utilized or used. Their brand is being used in the war, to wake people up. This could be that kind of fear porn. Or do we actually have to worry about what this woman said? Okay, so Dr. Tenpenny, and just go find it. It's everybody's sharing it. You guys will find it. So she's talking about this big UN pact. So basically, it sounds like the original plan of the New World Order. Okay, so I'm wondering, is there any truth to that? Could it just be that that's the old timeline she's talking about? Because a lot of times this is the case. So they put out things so when normies find out about what's been going on, they can understand why things had to be the way they are, because these guys were going to do that. Okay, but let's see if there's any truth to Dr. Tenpenny's post about what the UN did, because that would mean I've been wrong about the UN all along. But you know what? Like, if that is the case, let's see it. Like, let's have a look. Okay, because I don't care about that. I just want what's going. I just want to know. So we got a heads up. If that's really going to happen, we need to know that, don't we? Okay, let's have a look. So the UN is coming up as Trump and the White Hats capitulated. Okay, so they're not really real. Okay, some of them, some people that work for the UN still think it's a functioning thing. So they've just let it function at a really low level. Okay, so yeah, we've got the Three of Pentacles. So and the higher up in the UN, they've been capitulated, and they're working with Trump and the White Hats. So if that was put out, you guys, it's fake. Okay, it's fear porn. So it is absolutely a way. So you've already been freed from that plan. Okay, so listen to what she says. It was the plan. It was how things were going to work themselves. Like one of the plans. They had lots of plans. That was one of them. That was a deep state plan. It is, they put that out there just so people know who their enemy is. Okay, that's why that went forward. So check it out on my Telegram and or look up Dr. Tenpenny, her latest, like it's really recent what she put out about the UN. Put some of those words in Google, you'll find it for sure. Okay, let's have a look at her. Don't use Google, actually. Find a different thing to use. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, so a lot of people are worried about, there's been information put out there that there's all of these hits out on Trump, okay? And we know that he's had 2 visual attempts on his life. They were really just replays of what's happened in the past, or a way for you to understand what, you know, he's been kind of fighting off for years probably. Okay, so they, you know, they enacted a couple of these. I don't believe any of those were spontaneous. I think they were white hat acting, sort of psyops. Okay, but that's just what I get in the cards. Not everybody agrees with me on that. Okay, so now could there be a third situation with a plane? Because don't forget, J-Snip 4 gets that all the time. Okay, he got it in a big dream, and he you know, sticks to that possibly Trump has a fake, like it'll appear like he gets shot down and or his plane comes down, he dies in it. That's the first report, but then we find out he didn't die. Don't ask me why they need to go through that. I have no idea. Maybe to help people psychologically bump themselves out of having the deranged Trump syndrome. When they just hate Trump and they can't remember why, because they were brainwashed by CNN just like I was. Okay, so but I'm not anymore, thank goodness. But let's have a look. Are they going to do this plane thing? Are they going to enact Trump's plane coming down and near death or death experience with Trump? And then, you know, bounces back into he's alive. Oh, he's alive. Yeah, you know, it's interesting why. I guess they know what they're doing with those kind of things. I find it fascinating, and I don't know, are they just entertaining us? Like yeah. Good to have a heads up if it does happen though, so you know it's a theater as well. Okay, let's have a look. So it will appear that way, or they're certainly right now talking about it, and it looks like a possibility right now. Okay, and they've shown us that there's these hits out on Trump, like you know, fascinating. All of that I feel like is just playing out what's already happened. How we got to where we are now with the White Hat Alliance capitulating most of the governments, I think all of the governments in the world, and running things in the background, and all the things they've been up to, outing all of these industries. And they've been out in the industry. It's been crazy. Okay, I feel like this is just this is an example of how they do that. How do they utilize psyops, okay, psychological operations that get sort of move the public opinion around. Okay, and that's been done against us for years by the deep state. Now they're kind of trying to reverse some of that programming with white hat psyops. It's pretty interesting. Not everybody likes that. Lots of people think it's dishonest, and yeah, you get a lot of feedback on that where they're like, well, they're as bad as the bad guys. But and I can see how people would think that. I kind of, I don't know, maybe it's my Scorpio moon, but I kind of get how it's likely necessary. And I feel like we couldn't have done it as fast, woke up as many people without these operations. But again, that's just my opinion. And none of us really know, exactly what's going on there. But here is the outcome. We've got the 7. Yeah, they're doing it for a specific reason. I feel like right now it's still in the cards, let's say. But we've seen things just flip on a dime where we're not going to do that anymore. But right now the focus is they're going to do it. And that's interesting. Okay. And they're going to do it. Okay, but what could take our attention, like what could come in the way of doing it, because we've got this strategy. They're trying also to or to really smear somebody's reputation, a woman, a really powerful woman. We could be talking Kamala Harris. I mean, I wouldn't call her powerful, but I mean, she is in a powerful position. Right? She just happened to be dropped in that position. But I feel like they're about to really take her down publicly. Or is it Hillary Clinton? I mean, she's already rounded up, but they need to take her down in the public eye. Her brand, they got to, really show you who she really is. I mean, most of us know, but some people don't. They actually think she's how the pretendency believes, like how the mainstream media painted her for years. They actually think that. Okay, so some very public, maybe more than one, but in particular one female deep stater, going to be publicly really taken down. And depending how that goes, or I feel like they might even swap that for the plane crash. I feel like they're neck and neck with, are we doing this or are we going to do that? I don't know why it has to be between the two of them, but that's what I'm getting. So I wouldn't say for sure they're going to do the plane crash thing. Okay, I wouldn't say they won't do it, but I wouldn't say they're for sure going to do it. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so that one's still like, you got to be agile with this stuff, right? Like I was saying by the way, if you haven't watched last night's Jean-Claude, myself, and Penny Kelly, we did it was a really good show. I think we were really helpful in, together, the three of us actually work really well together, which is quite funny. Because, I never used to like watching Penny Kelly, but actually working with her, I sort of get how she comes to some of the stuff she does, and I really enjoy. Actually, I'm really looking forward to meeting her in person. It's going to be fun, and I think her and I should do a tarot each reading on things, because I actually think she's a really good reader too. Not only is she, got the psychic ability, but she's a great reader. Anyway, go watch the show. So the special, it's free on Rumble. I shared it, top of the page. It was shared a couple of times, a couple of different places on the website. So yeah, don't forget to watch that one, okay, to get up to speed on a lot of things, especially UFO or concerning that sort of realm. Thank you so much, everybody, and take care. And again, thank you for all the love you sent Dusty Bum. I was hoping he'd come join. I had his chair ready for him. I got this little chair here, and I would have pulled it closer, but yeah, he's having a big nap. So bye-bye. So here's the hidden card. So the information there is information that and likely cures that have been completely repressed and hidden. You bet. Okay, and here we've got the surrender card in the middle. So surrender to, well, it's not the time right yet to bring them out. So it's not it's not happening just yet. They're still hidden from us. Yes. We've got the Three of Pentacles there. So they have developed them and they've been around, but they've just been repressed. Okay. Yeah. Because the overlords repressed them. And now all of this stuff has to shift before they can, bring all of this stuff out. Now, as it comes out, it looks like by even next, I'm going to say spring, so this is either an Aries or a Leo card to me. So by the time of Aries, which would be late March, early April, or Leo time, which would be, what is that? July, late July, and all through August. Yeah. Between that time, I feel like a lot more truth and honesty comes out around cures and what's available really, and what cancers really are, and how to treat that energy. Okay, so that's, and I absolutely agree with the person calling chemo and radiation. When will they be gone? Well, it feels like it'll take, first, I think we got out, our governments. I think we have to go through the tumultuous fall, winter that looks like it's coming. The financial crash has to happen. I feel like then disclosure to a lot of things. It won't all just happen overnight. So it feels like between April and August, let's say, that looks like when we can expect some really big truths around cancer and positive directions and brand new directions. So things maybe we've never even heard of. So she's truth and integrity. And that's a timing, that feels like a timing card. Okay. Let's look at, is the moon ship that's going to be orbiting our Earth. So they're saying there's a second moon. It'll appear as a second moon. It's being talked about in the mainstream media. And of course, we know that that'll be a lie, okay, as a second moon. I looked at it. Was it Sunday? Yeah, I think it was Sunday on our special report. And that's available to everybody, you guys. That's Rumble. So Jean-Claude at Beyond Mystic Rumble channel. Available to everybody, okay? Go check that out on the Jean-Claude Rumble channel, Beyond Mystic Rumble channel. Okay, that one's available to everybody. I talked about this. So we looked at what will appear to be a moon, a second moon orbiting. Makes no sense. Okay, I'm no scientist, not even close, but it sounds ludicrous. Oh, this second moon's going to orbit for a short amount of time and then skedaddle. Wouldn't it get pulled into Earth's orbit? I mean, it's way smaller than the moon. So how on earth wouldn't it get pulled into the orbit? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so let's have a look at what really is that. So what I got was a mothership. Okay, so let's look at that again. I also got unconditional love around it, so I did not get a bad entity ship. Okay, so if that answers some of that, I got a loving energy, but let's just see what else we can get around that. So we've got the 10. So a lot of people will see it. A lot of people will see it. Some people will think it's trickery and an illusion. It'll scare the bejesus out of others. A lot of people will not understand. They're not expecting. Yeah, it's gonna feel scary to a lot of people, and a lot of fear porn around it. Okay, it looks like the interest of the entity's energy is they support a free and sovereign humanity. So they're in support of. So they may not be like they may not have the same kind of emotional capacity, or I don't know, right? I don't know, but I don't expect them to be like a human energy. Okay. But let's just say they support our freedom to grow as a human race. They support that. So that means they're not our per se enemies, and they're not trying to overlord us. So that's good. Okay. And I feel like there could be this could really rile up who's ever's left of the dark hats. Okay. There's gonna be, I feel like they could even try shooting that thing down with something, or going after it with whatever they got left. Right. This is a 5 of Wands, though. It's not a major arcana, so I don't think they have the capacity, but they will try to. And then failing that, of course, they're going to use fear porn, and all kinds of stories are going to circulate around what that thing is. Okay. So here we've got the Queen of Wands here. So this is what you need to do. So stay personally integral. She's brave. She's fearless. Facing, I don't mean go up to like if entities come from it to Earth or whatever. I'm not saying go over there, because we don't know, how their energies are going to behave. So I still say the Queen of Swords is your best way to approach. But as far as when you're gazing at it, looking at it, don't fall for the fear porn. Use your instincts. Let your intuition tell you, what are you looking at? Let your intuition tell. And try not to spend a lot of time fearing, because I feel like a lot of fear porn is going to circulate around it. And it's part of the war effort to have you fear. Remember that the dark side really feeds off your fear. Okay, so be brave and use your instincts and intuition instead of don't just go to a fear emotion about it. You've been prepped about this. So if anything irregular, if you see anything irregular, it's because that thing isn't just an asteroid or a moon. Okay. It's not any of those things. It's actually a mothership is what I get. Okay, so they're not going to do anything really. Both these cards hold back. They feel like they're just doing a little lap around Earth, just making sure we're okay here. They're not going to do, so this card and this card together, it's like they don't have any intentions to come onto Earth. They're going to stay, they're going to stay, on their mothership. But they're going to be monitoring, it looks like, how things are going. Okay, so that's what's going on there. So use your intuition. You could, if you do spot it, you could send it a intuitive message, maybe from your heart chakra, that if they mean well to humanity, then you react in kind or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Cool. Okay, what do we got here? Now, this person's been asking many, many times. I don't always like talking about things like insurance, and Meg and I really cover a lot of that in that Woo series we do together, Navigating the Woo. We look at future, how things evolve. Okay, I prefer on the channel to stay current events, okay, and looking into health insurance and how it'll go down. I'm not really going to tackle that. Okay. But I will quickly look at just, will it be around? I'll do it that way. I'm not going to get into a big, a big examination of things like insurances, because I'm going to save that for working on Navigating the Woo. That takes a lot more. I'd need a whole show just to look at that. It's not a quick question, but I'm going to look at health insurance in the US, because this person seems to be, I'm assuming, is from the US. And by the way, when you ask specific questions about things like that, make sure you let me know where you're asking from. Okay, so I can focus in the right area, but I'm going to assume they're in the US. So I'm going to look at health insurance in the US because we out of control and insane. Okay, and absurd, and really, we know all, well, in my opinion, all of it's worthless. Like, unless you, of course, and they even mention this, it's for catastrophic events, like you get in a car crash and you need sewn all back together. Yeah, that's the only thing it would come in handy, but it's just so unfortunate that you would even need to be paying into it for years for that. But let's have a look at those kind of insurances that are literally just reaping, from people and pillaging, really, because we know what the whole health situation is like. Healthcare everywhere in the world is a scam. The whole thing's it's horrifying. So that's why I don't want to get into the topic, but I will just ask this one thing for this person because they've asked about 6 times now. And I understand, but it's like, there's a reason why I don't answer certain questions. Okay. But this one, I'm going to just go this far. Will that still exist by this time next year? That's how I'm going to answer it. That's how I'm going to look at it. Okay. So we've got the 6 of Swords. So lots of information will come out. So they're going to be outed. And we're already seeing a lot of outings of these things, right? Because it's all part of the cabal system. Of course. All medical, all the medical profession right now. And maybe there's some people that believe they're doing good and don't see past their overlords in their profession. But as far as I'm concerned, the whole situation around what we call medical care, certainly in North America, I'm assuming it's like this everywhere, all needs to be taken apart and reassembled. It's cabal. Like doctors were even trained. Think about it. They stopped using midwives, and they started, it started in Europe, I would assume. Like they started using like male doctors who knew nothing, by the way, about the anatomy of women or anything about, health. I mean, they were still bleeding people with leeches, that kind of absurdity and stupidity. Okay. And now they're in charge of helping women birth babies. Like, come on. Anyway, absurd. Okay, let's see. So we've got the Chariot in the middle. We've got the 6 of Swords. So yeah, it's being outed as we speak. It could take, it looks like, maybe another 2 years to completely take this down. Yeah, I'd say it could take a while to really dismantle this. But what could speed it up is everybody just stops dealing with it. So depending on how people are, there might be still a lot of people fearing and not really buying all the disclosure that's going to come out. That might stretch it out longer. But in my opinion, I would, but I'm not a health professional, and I'm not going to be responsible for people's healthcare questions. That's another reason why I don't really like going in these areas. Okay. Cause that is not really my expertise anyway. You know what I mean? Like I pick up on stuff, but health stuff's not my best area. But it's saying the 2 of Swords. So the 2 of Swords, here's your advice. You personally stop when you intuitively feel brave enough to. Okay, because I haven't dealt with anything like that, for years. And I just trust. And I go to healers. And so I don't deal with stuff like that. Okay, so maybe rethink that. Do you want to wait it out another 2 years till everybody else catches on? Or do you want to be like a trust in your own instincts and the healers out there to help you if something did happen to you? Use your own instincts on that, right? Use your own intuition. Okay. Yeah. But it could take up to 2 years to fully dismantle those systems. And that makes sense. It's going to take time for these things to dismantle, and a lot of it's people's fears, and we could speed that up if everybody gets on board with trusting themselves again, and yeah, just using their intuition on things like that. Okay, so that would be an individual choice. If you want to keep paying into that, that's your choice. I know for sure I wouldn't. Not even close. I don't even have health, or sorry, I don't even have any kind of insurance except car insurance, unfortunately, because they wouldn't even let me drive if I didn't have that. So unfortunately, but anything I can get away with not having, I don't. Okay, so let's have a look at alcohol, spirits. Does alcohol make us susceptible to negative energies and evil spirits? Well, interesting. Oh boy, I'm thinking yes. I think Ashley and I deep dived on this, and I think we did get a yes on it. I think it depends on the alcohol too. So each one seems to have its own sort of energy. It also depends on your spiritual strength when consuming it. So be really careful. There's definitely spell casting on various different kinds of alcohol. Everyone is different though. So different alcohols have different entity potential, or sort of open you up to. So they put holes. They say overuse of alcohol puts, or any kind of substance, of overusing it, and that includes smoking pot, doing gummies, all that. Overusing, okay, puts holes in your aura and your soul, because there's a toxic level that it can't stick around in. It leaves, and it leaves you open to entities entering. And I feel like different alcohols might even have different energies they in particular attract. So certain ones have certain kinds of energy that are more attracted to that alcohol use. So that's interesting. So different substances attract different things, so you could attract different kinds of energies. So it's absolutely true. It's more slanted towards overuse, but I feel like the more spiritually in touch I get, the less I can use any of those things, frankly. So yeah, I feel like the more spiritually in touch you are, the less those energies make any sense anymore. So use your own discretion. But you bet they weaken your spiritual ability to say no to entities. Yes, that is true. Okay, and that just makes sense. Think about it. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, this one's really cool. So DEFCON 1. Okay, so there was a video shared, I believe, and now I didn't listen to it, but somebody wrote this in the comments, so I'm strictly going off the comments. Sarah Hobbs channel, okay, she shared a video that was also shared by other people. I think it was on Telegram, but I didn't see it myself, so I didn't personally listen to this myself. Somebody's told me this, okay? So this is all hearsay. Okay, so there were some people discussing, so there was it was Trump was in a meeting and they were discussing his security detail. And right out of the blue, one of the security, who was it again? Secret Service person blurts out, and it didn't make sense to the conversation they were having. It was almost like maybe they wanted to get this out there. Maybe it was for our benefit, but they blurted out that we are in DEFCON 1. So the US is in DEFCON. And so what they say that means is they're in the highest alert of like trouble, like war is coming or trouble is coming. Did they say that just for fear porn? Is the US, so here's my question. is the US in DEFCON 1? Is it at that level of awareness of shit hitting the fan, let's say? Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. So we've got the Two of Swords. And then we've got, so this is like various different, I feel like governments. So when the Lover's card comes up in questions that are political, it can often talk about governments. So we've got the 10 of Cups. We've got the, I'm not really like, I think they're in awareness and readiness. There is 2 major arcanas, so usually that's a yes. But then there's this 2 of Swords. I feel like they're ready with DEFCON 1 if they need it. So I don't think they're in it literally right this minute, but they could be in an instant ready to be. And I think it's like that all the time anyway. So I feel like that in a way it's kind of, there's an exaggeration to that information, but at the same time, at any moment, because we are in a war, okay, yeah, at any moment, they could go into DEFCON 1. But I feel like that's always the way it is anyway. Okay, so I'll say it that way. Yeah, so I'm not getting an alarming feeling about it right now when I look at it. I feel like it's always in just one step from it. I don't think it's literally in it right now, but it's one step away. Okay, interesting. What percent of the US military is white hat or on the side of the white hats, would join the white hats? Maybe they're not literally white hats, are like okay with the white hat mentality, you know what I mean? So they may not literally be white hats, but what percentage are okay with white hat? Say the white hats stepped out, would join in with the white hats. What percentage of the US military? And so according to Carrie Cassidy, only 50% are on board with the white hat. 50% sounded like a lot to me. It sounded like a lot, but let's have a look. That's a deep state card, but that's a Trump in the white hat card. But we could also, because it's so well aspected, I'm not going to call it the deep state card. In this case, it's actually like the Hierophant is a readiness also card. It's about organized chaos and ready and teachable moments and really high degree of teaching. So an energy that's knows a lot, an energy that knows a lot and is able to teach others, takes on teaching others. I feel like they're ready to jump in, just the look of this, and it's very positive and kind of exciting looking. I feel like they're very friendly towards white hat military, and they've been read in to what's going on to some degree, and when needed will jump in. I think they'll even be generous and jump in. So we've got, I think some of the riff was healed that was going on. So that information at some point was true, but now it's behind us. This is the card that came first. That's been healed. I feel like largely they're on board. I think it's more than 50%. So that's not as worrisome as it first sounds. Now, a Scottish viewer wanted to know about shortages in Europe. And let's even go, like UK, even food shortages. So whenever I look at it, it's always for North America. And that is true. That's usually what I ask about. So let's ask about Europe, and in particular the UK. Shortages, food shortages. How bad is it going to be? Because when I do it for North America, it always looks like there's some level of hidden supplies, maybe deep underground. And we've heard the rumors, right, that there's huge storages of years and years of food, dried goods, and food that could be used if there was shortages. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean we won't experience some shortages. I always get there will be shortages, but not to the degree where now you're all starving to death. I don't feel that we're going to be starved with shortages. No. Okay, so food shortages in Europe, how bad or good will it be? Like will it be the same story as what I'm getting in the US and Canada, or let's call it North America, or is it going to be worse, better for them? Let's have a look. Mm-hmm. I think some things have been arranged for there too. So with that 8 of Wands, I feel like, and it does also, this is your advice, so maybe prepare. I'd say for at least 2 to 3 weeks anyway, going forward. You might be, even if you have the ability, prepare for maybe a month or two. Okay, but I think people will, the more they're prepared, the better. Okay, I don't think you need to prepare for months and months and years. No, I don't get that. I do see some things that'll shake things up just like they do here. So some events that could be make things difficult, absolutely. And even nature events, so not just war sort of potential here, although I never get it going all the way to that, but there could be false flags and or psyops that look like it's going to war, which could wreak a lot of havoc. Okay, because that's wreaking havoc in the middle. So you're going to have events there too, you better believe it. And then we've got the Empress here, but there's stored that's been thought of. Okay, so I feel like you're in better shape than I think I would say it's along the same lines as what I get for North America looking at these cards, but definitely prepare for some, like, I feel like initially if we do get locked down for a couple of weeks while military are on the streets, etc., good military, I feel like you're gonna, it's gonna be hard to get, you won't be able to go shopping or whatever. So you're going to need that. I'd go at least 2 to 3 weeks worth. Yeah. Try to keep some dried goods on, like they say, rice, something to cook with that doesn't involve electricity. So I got myself a little burner with little gas. You can buy the little gas containers. So propane is the kind of gas, and that, I don't know if you can get things like that there, but like a camp stove type situation, it's better to use those obviously outdoors. Okay, let's hope it's not too cold for that, but people even barbecue outside in 40 below in Calgary, so I think you can do it. Okay, so you may need to cook on something other than an electric stove. What if electricity goes out? I always get intermittent with short of like outages, so I never get it goes on and on for the full time. I feel like there'll be rolling outages, so you'll have it sometime and sometimes not. So those kind of stoves would come in really handy. You can boil water, you can make your coffee, you can like boil some, water for pasta, eggs, whatever it is, whatever you've stored up, to make soups. You could have like dried soup makings. You could look into canned goods, canned chili, whatever it is you like. Beans, they say beans, rice, and some kind of fish. Like if you absolutely had nothing else available, if you have those three items, so canned fish, obviously, because fresh fish would be, would go bad really quickly, especially if you're out of electricity. So canned fish. Now, here on the Haida Gwaii, everybody cans the salmon, right? So maybe there's a way to buy canned fish there. I don't know. But, some kind of protein, or really high protein item. Beans and rice apparently can be a really good idea. Now, I'm no expert on these things, but I've heard that could really get you through. Anyway, so find things that you think are important to store up. Get at least 2 or 3 weeks worth. Looks like a good idea. That'll be a really smart idea. Okay. And I just, in general, that's a good idea anyway, just for life. You know what I mean? It's a good idea to have anyway, even if if it doesn't end up being used. So what? You got extra groceries. Like, that's not a bad idea if you can do it, right? And also, you might have extra to help others. Like if you end up getting too much, you might just be asked to help. The universe knows best. So listen to your instincts and intuition on that. But it looks like it's about the same story as it's been thought about. So there's probably more, ways that they'll circulate dried goods and foods and etc. I'm not saying you're going to get saved from some inconveniences. There will be, but no, I don't feel like they're. Yeah, I feel like they've thought about that. Let's say that. Okay, let's have a look. Okay. What else can we ask about? Let's look at the first arrest that rocks the world, that shocks the world. Okay, have we had it already? Is there any new information on that? Because it's never clear who that's going to be. And somebody was wondering, is it going to be a pope? Is it going to be a political figure? Is it going to be a big star? I mean, maybe it was Diddy. He's getting arrested. He has an indictment and he was arrested. Possibly, and he doesn't have bail. Maybe he was the one that shocked the world. They've told everybody so much about it that I feel like maybe we won't be shocked. At least this community won't be. But maybe a lot of people who weren't listening to our videos were shocked by these arrests. Think about it. Maybe that already happened. Did that already happen? Are we still waiting for the first arrest? No, I think it's still coming. And, the idea of the Pope really makes a lot of sense with this card. It is literally a Pope, right? In the drawing. Whoa. Yeah. And then they're going to expose the wealth of this bunch. Like, think about it. So they're the leader of the Catholic faith, supposedly. Okay. And they're demonic child traffickers, pedophiles, scumbags of the nth degree. Okay. Huge money launderers. So the Vatican Bank, huge. So all of that, can you imagine exposing all of that? Also likely responsible for all kinds of political steals. Really? That's your spiritual leader? Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm actually, in a way, I'm happy that my mom's not here on the earth plane anymore to see this, because it would kill her. Like, it would, she'd be so hurt. She likes popes and priests. Okay, no matter how much I tried to tell her about it, she still liked them. So that would just, can you imagine how that's going to rip people's the blinders off of them in a really painful way. Okay, so it feels like, no, it hasn't happened yet, and there will be one, and it looks like some kind of a spiritual leader, spiritual, and I use the term loosely. Okay, and demonic is spirits too, right? So some kind of religious, and to me that's not a good word, by the way. If you belong to a religion, okay, it's you better be looking into who's at the head of your little club you belong to, okay? Because spirituality, the good kind, you find it in your own heart. You don't need to be in some group that calls themselves, some doctrine they follow. Right away, that's part of programming. I'm just saying. Okay, everybody's going to have to relook and rethink about stuff like organized religion. It's one of our biggest contributors to brainwashing. Okay, repression, brainwashing, and huge human foolery, let me tell you. But anyway, that's my opinion on that. Like spirituality, that's a whole different thing. Finding your own soul purpose and having a communication and a connection to your own soul. You don't need a pedophile priest or pope and or preacher to help you do that. Okay, you do that all by yourself. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching my video, and sending everybody ravens. Bye bye.
Che chén được thùng, nhưng nghe giải thích xong, nàng mới thấy nhẹ nhõm. Diều Dương Lăng lên đầu giường để y ngồi xuống, rồi nàng cúi người giúp y cởi giày, phủi tuyết dính trên đó, còn đem hơ bên bếp lò. Sau đó nàng lại đi rót một bát nước đem đến cho y. Tướng công, nước ấm đây, chàng uống một chút cho ấm cổ. Hầu hạ cho tướng công ngủ xong, ấu nương sẽ đi ăn. Dương Lan nghe vậy, lại nhớ đến vở kịch đã xem tối nay, không cầm được lòng mà nắm lấy tay nàng thở dài. Ấu nương à, nàng là nương tử của ta, chứ không phải là nô bộc. Nàng không nên hầu hạ ta thế này. Nàng còn nhỏ, lại đáng yêu như vậy, phải được thương yêu cưng chiều mới đúng. Nghe y nói như thế, khuôn mặt của Hàn Ấu Nương thoáng ửng đỏ, thẹn thùng rút tay lại, nhưng không được. Nàng đành để yên cho y nắm, giọng cảm động. Tướng công rất chữ yêu ngượng ngùng không tốt lên được, nàng chỉ dám nói. Tướng công đối xử với thiếp rất tốt, mà nữ tử bọn thiếp vốn nên hết lòng hết sức hầu hạ cho phu quân của mình, có quan hệ gì với nô tỳ đâu chứ. Tướng công thương ấu nương biết rất rõ, nhưng tướng công không nên quá cưng chiều thiếp, sẽ làm hư thiếp đó. Dương Lan không khỏi bật cười. Thời này là vậy, mình cứ gắng gượng truyền bá lại những quan niệm của thế kỷ thứ 21, chỉ sợ sẽ làm cho nàng sợ thêm. Mấy thứ như lễ giáo đại phòng, chuẩn mực của lễ giáo, vu vi thê cương, tức là vợ phải nghe chồng, là thứ nam nhân dùng để đầu độc nữ tử. Nhưng trăm ngàn năm nay, nữ tử không những tự giác phục tùng những quan niệm này, mà còn cho rằng nó là lẽ đương nhiên, thậm chí còn đề cao nó lên. Nữ giới, nữ huấn gì đó, đại đa số là được viết bởi nữ nhân, lấy chúng làm chuẩn mực cho nữ nhân trong thiên hạ. Người bươn trải ra ngoài tìm việc làm ở hàng may như ống nương đã là cực hiếm rồi. Phụ nữ thời này phần đông chỉ ở nhà phụ chồng dạy con. Nếu cấm nàng hầu hạ phu quân, chẳng lẽ muốn nàng xây dựng sự nghiệp cho bản thân sao? Nghĩ như vậy, dân Nam cảm thấy thoải mái hơn khi tận hưởng sự dịu dàng hầu hạ của nàng. Dương Lăng nhắc mấy cái, cặp mắt lờ đờ. Hàn Ấu Nương vội giúp y cởi áo ngoài, bảo: tướng công, chàng hãy cởi áo rồi đi nghỉ trước đi. Dương Lăng buồn ngủ một tiếng, nương theo tay nàng cởi bỏ áo ngoài, sau đó kéo gối lại, xoay mình nằm ngủ, miệng lẩm bẩm: thật không thức nổi nữa rồi, nàng hãy mau ăn cơm rồi cũng ngủ đi nhé. Hàn Ấu Nương vâng một tiếng, cầm lấy cổ áo dụ rũ để xếp lại. Chợt nghe cạch một tiếng, từ trong áo rơi ra một vật. Hà Nấu Nương hiếu kỳ nhặt lên xem. Dưới ánh đèn dầu, nàng thấy rõ đó là một chiếc túi thơm tinh xảo, kiểu dáng dành cho nữ. Chẳng những được may tinh tế bằng chất liệu cao cấp mà còn thoang thoảng mùi thơm. Khuôn mặt nàng tái hẳn đi. Hai nàng run ghê gớm, muốn mở nó ra xem, nhưng đồng thời cũng chẳng muốn biết. Vậy có thể lừa mình lừa người mà coi như chuyện này chưa từng xảy ra. Do dự một hồi lâu, cuối cùng nàng không kiềm nổi sự tò mò, nhẹ nhàng mở chiếc túi, lấy từ bên trong ra một hạt trân châu óng ánh bóng loáng. Dưới ánh đèn phản chiếu, màu sắc viên trân châu đẹp đẽ vô cùng. Hà Nấu Nương không khỏi tròn xoay mắt, bụng bảo dạ, đẹp quá. Nó chính là trân châu mà người ta thường nói đến sau. Tướng công làm thế nào mà có vật này, còn được đựng trong cái túi thơm của nữ nhân nữa. Chàng có nữ nhân khác ở bên ngoài rồi sao? Vừa nghĩ đến khả năng duy nhất này, Hà Nấu Nương cảm thấy đau đớn không thôi. Thảo nào khỏi bệnh rồi mà phu quân vẫn chưa thực hiện cái lễ vợ chồng với mình. Lúc sắp xuất giá, bà Thím có dạy con cho mình, nói là phu thê phải làm cái chuyện ấy thì mới trở thành phu thê. Chiếc khăn trắng thì mới đưa cho mình để nghiệm hồng, tức là kiểm tra ngọc trinh, vẫn còn cất trong giường. Lâm đang hoảng loạn, chẳng lẽ phu quân không chỉ phong lưu bên ngoài mà còn muốn kiếm cớ đuổi mình, thế nên mới không gần gũi mình sao? Nhưng cái túi thơm và viên trân châu bào này cũng biết nữ tử đón gia cảnh nhất định chẳng phải tầm thường. Nếu như phu quân yêu mến hẳn sẽ không đạp về làm thiếp. Mình cứ nghĩ vì chàng mới khỏi bệnh nên không thích thú chuyện ấy. Mình là con gái, chàng đã không đề cập đến thì dĩ nhiên mình chẳng thể mở miệng được. Nào ngờ chàng lại Dương Lăng mơ màng kiếm tràn đất, khó chịu vì đi ngủ mang vớ dài không được thoải mái. Y cởi vớ ra, vất chúng sang một bên thì phát hiện thấy vẫn còn ánh đèn lập lòe. Tình cờ ngoảnh đầu lại, y thấy Hà Nấu Nương đang ngồi bên mép giường, lưng quay về phía mình, bờ vai yếu mềm đang run lên từng chập, còn thoáng nghe có tiếng thút thít. Tình cảnh này khiến cho men rượu trong người của Dương Lăng vơi hết mấy phần. Y vội vàng trở mình ngồi dậy, xoay vai Hà Nấu Nương lại, thì thấy nước mắt long lanh như ngọc rơi từng hàng trên khuôn mặt nhỏ nhắn của nàng. Tiếng nức nở rất thương tâm, làm Y vội dịch sát đến, ôm chặt lấy bờ eo mảnh mai của nàng, xót xa thốt lên: "Ấu Nương, sao nàng lại như thế? Nàng có chuyện gì mà đau lòng đến vậy?" Hà Nấu Nương vội lau nước mắt ngoảnh mặt đi, khẽ nói: "Có phải tướng công hiểm Ấu Nương hầu hạ không chu đáo nên muốn ruồng bỏ Ấu Nương phải không?" Dương Lăng thấy nàng khóc rất tội nghiệp, tim cũng cảm thấy đau nhói, vội phân trần: "Ấu Nương, sao nàng lại nói như thế? Những ngày nàng theo ta phải chịu đựng biết bao cực khổ, vậy mà chẳng ngoan trách gì. Điều ấy Dương Lăng ghi khắc trong tim, sao có thể làm những chuyện như thế chứ?" Hà Nấu Nương xoay bàn tay ra, u uất nói: "Tướng công, nếu không phải như vậy, hạt trân châu này từ đâu mà có? Chàng đừng dối tiếp nữa." Nhìn viên trân châu, Dương Lăng giật mình hiểu ra, y cười ha hả ôm chặt lấy bờ vai mảnh khảnh của ông Nương, nhưng nàng cứ khăng khăng vùng ra. Từ nhỏ nàng đã luyện võ, nếu như lúc này thực sự muốn phản kháng thì Dương Lăng chắc chắn không giữ được nàng. Từ lúc Dương Lăng gặp nàng đến nay, nàng vẫn luôn hết bực như mì, chẳng hề có chút nào không vâng lời. Tính cách thật không như một nữ tử hoạt bát sống động. Giờ nàng bộc lộ chút dỗi hờn, y lại cảm thấy hết sức thú vị, mặt dày ôm lấy vai nàng một lần nữa. Hà Nấu Nương vùng vằng vẫy cái, Dương Lăng càng ôm chặt thêm. Hà Nấu Nương liền thôi không dùng sức nữa, chỉ vội vàng lấy lệ, quay đầu không nhìn mặt y. Dương Lăng nhón lấy viên trân châu cười ha ha: "Ấu Nương, viên trân châu này có đẹp không? Sắp đến Tết rồi, để ta tìm thợ xuyên sợi dây qua cho nàng đeo cổ có được không nào?" Hà Nấu Nương lại quay đầu lại kinh ngạc hỏi: "Hạt châu này là cho thiếp ư?" Dương Lăng nháy mắt và làm ra vẻ kỳ quái: "Không cho nàng, chẳng lẽ cho ta? Nàng có thấy nam nhân nào đeo cái thứ này chưa?" Hà Nấu Nương đỏ đậm cả mặt, nhưng nhớ đến chiếc túi thơm vẫn không nhịn được bèn đáp ứng: Nhưng mà chiếc túi thơm này, tướng công, không phải là chàng đã có nữ nhân ở bên ngoài chứ? Dương Lăng giật thót người, nhớ lại khuôn mặt xinh xắn của Mã Liên Nhi. Mặc dù hai người không có tư tình gì bí mật, nhưng Mã Liên Nhi rất có tình ý đối với y, và y thật ra cũng rất thích cái cô gái xinh đẹp ấy. Trong lòng hơi hoảng, nên đi kéo chiếc áo ở phía mép giường lại, lục lọi bên trong lớp áo kép một hồi, lấy ra mấy đinh bạc trắng, bảo: "Ồ, nàng nói đến cái này à? Tao uống nhiều rượu, chỉ muốn đi ngủ cho nên vẫn chưa kịp nói với nàng. Thực ra hôm nay Mã Dịch Thừa vì được ta giúp đỡ xử lý vụ kiện nên đã mời Mẫn đại nhân và ta đi uống rượu. Trong bữa tiệc ông ấy biếu ta 40 lạng bạc để cảm ơn. Cái túi thơ và viên trân châu là lễ vật mà Mã tiểu thư, người đã tới nhà chúng ta ngày hôm đó, tặng riêng cho nàng. Nàng chớ có hiểu lầm." Hà Nấu Nương trước giờ nào đã thấy được đĩnh bạc lớn như vậy. 40 lạng bạc nhất định là lượng thượng hạng, đó quả là một con số khổng lồ. Nàng tròn xoe mắt kinh ngạc thốt lên: "Trời ạ, Tướng công chẳng qua chỉ nghĩ giúp cách cho ông ta thôi mà đã được tạ lễ nhiều như vậy sao?" Dương Lăng nhét ngân lượng vào tay nàng, cười nói: "Đơn tử, hãy cất đi, giờ thì yên tâm, không còn buồn phiền gì nữa rồi nhé." Đĩnh bạc trong tay lạnh ngắt, nặng trĩu. Hà Nấu Nương bị y chê đứng đỏ cả mặt, nàng cắn môi, cơn tim hoảng loạn đã yên hồn trở lại đến 8 phần. Nàng nghĩ bụng, giờ Trần Phu vẫn còn say, ngày mai chưa chắc còn những chuyện đêm nay. Có phải chuyện sao mình không nhân tiện hỏi luôn một lần cho rõ ràng, cũng để lòng ở tới lúc nào cũng thấp thỏm không yên. Chủ ý đã định, nàng chợt đặt bạc xuống, đưa ống tay áo lên che mặt ngượng ngùng nói: ông nương có một câu muốn hỏi tướng công, xin tướng công chớ chê cười tiếc." Dương Lăng lấy làm lạ hỏi: "Chuyện gì vậy?" "Được rồi, hôm nay ông nương đại nhân cứ thăng đường xét hỏi, Dương bố đây biết gì thì sẽ nói sẽ nói hết. Đại nhân xin cứ hỏi đi."